Yeehaw!
My sisters were the first ones to be involved in the horses in our family. I have two older sisters, and they both kind of liked horses. I have three older sisters, really. Two of the three really were into horses. They rode we lived in Chicago when I was born, and they rode on the bridle paths in a place called Harm's Woods. And I'd ride with them a little bit, but mainly play on the haystack, I was just a little kid. At 7 years old, I got rheumatic fever, and 8 years old, we moved to Arizona partly for my health, and just partly because, And my sisters both still rode, so I'd go to the stable with them and hang out, and kind of got around the cowboys. My dad never lived with us, so I didn't have a lot of father figures, so I got hooked up with some of these cowboys and got to thinking that was pretty cool. And I worked hard, helped them. So one guy said, well, if you clean all these stalls of mine, I'll let you ride my horse. So I did. If I'd come after school, I'd clean his stalls, he'd let me ride his horse. And I got to liking that a little bit. And then my sisters, one of them started liking boys, got away from the horses. And Mom said, well, if you want that horse, you got to ride it. So I was scared of the horse. One day I rode it and got along with it. It kind of ran away with me, tell you the truth. Back in those days, I didn't ride very good. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared. So I rode it out back, and finally I got it conquered and got to liking it, and got around a different group of cowboys. And then the guys were a little tougher, I liked them a lot, and older guys. And so they would rope and stuff. So they told me I could rope in the arena with them, but I had to catch the dummy. So sit on the sawhorse and rope the dummy 100 times without missing, and be honest about it. Then you could rope one calf. So one day I saw a guy drove into the place, and he was pretty rough, pretty tough. And I thought, man, that guy's like John Wayne, And I asked somebody who he was, and they said it was Jim Paul. That he was a horse trainer. So that night I went home after the stable there. I told my mom, I said, I'd really like to go ride with this Jim Paul guy. So she took me over, and I took a lesson from Jim. And, he was real tough on me and stuff. I liked it. I liked it. I liked him being tough on me. And I liked him being a tough guy, And anyway, he became my father figure. I rode with Jim for, 8 or 9 years after that. And then I got really involved in showing horses by the time I was 15, and showed all over the West Coast and stuff, and with Jim. And then later, after college, I went to work for a guy named John Hoyt, and John was just a terrific hand. He was kind of our nemesis when I worked for Jim and rode with Jim. And Jim taught me how to really train horses, and John taught me the philosophy behind training. So, it was kind of neat to have that cross-section. When I was going to college, I got to thinking of myself one day, okay, what am I good at? Everybody's got to kind of look at it themselves realistically and say, well, what are you good at? And, I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything, I didn't want to be indoors. I knew that. I thought about being a personnel director. I had a good friend that kind of offered me a job in that direction. I thought about being a police officer. I took some police science classes in college. I minored in psychology, and I don't know, there was a lot of things. I was good at a lot of things, but not very good, and I loved basketball. I played a lot of ball, and had a city league team here in Phoenix. So I did a lot of stuff, but like I say, I wasn't that good at anything. I was just okay. But I was pretty good at horses, and I liked it, and I liked that it offered me that diversification. My major was business, and that was worked out. I'd taken, a lot of animal science classes. I liked that, but with all the teaching I'd had from Jim Paul and John Hoyt and all that stuff, I figured my best education was in horse training. started out because I wanted to ride horses so much. I went to Phoenix College so I could get my own times, be done in the afternoon, come ride horses. So I took equine science classes there, and one teacher, I showed up in the room, they go, "Are you the Al Dunning that shows horses?" And I said, "Yes." Well, I already knew more than the teacher did, and I didn't really want to learn about chicken judging, so I did a little of that, but it was all fun. But I wanted to work. I wanted to go home and get to work and ride horses, and I always had that feeling. It was more fun to work than it was to sit and learn. So one day I was sitting there in some filler class, and I just was shaking my head at what I was learning and just thinking, wow, this isn't going to make any difference in my life. So I'd been dating Becky for a while and knew I loved her, and I knew I loved the horses, so I just left my books on the table, got in my car, drove home, and called Becky on the phone and asked her to marry me, called my mother and told her I was going to quit going to school, even though I just had a semester or so left, and that I was going to become a horse trainer. And I think she fainted right about then. It gave me an avenue to use psychology in teaching. It gave me an avenue to be good at horse training, but also be good at a lot of other things and not have to be great. But I'm a plumber, I'm a carpenter, I can do just about anything a little bit. And I thought that was pretty cool that you could do that, work outside, and actually make a living at it and be around some cool people. I mean, I've had some amazing clients over the years that come from very diverse background, and it's been fun.